Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Wisdom of the Modern Crone. And today I have somebody that's been very close to my heart and close to my being for maybe 5 or 6 years now, at least. My very special guest today is Pam Walker. She's an animal communicator. She's also an intuitive healer. She works with animals and with people. She has made such a difference in my life over the years when I was going through some pivotal changes, and I just needed somebody to help ground me, help clear out old energies, and help get me focused on where I was going and how to repattern my life. She's also been pivotal with my animals, my beloved fur babies. That's how I first came across Pam, was looking for somebody to help me with one of my cats that was ill. She's helped me with many cats over the years, with illnesses, being lost, actually after they crossed the Rainbow Bridge when I've been brokenhearted, to connect with them for a sense of peace and communication because I miss them so much. Pam, welcome to the show. I'm so glad that you've taken the time today to join me.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here, actually. You and I work from a different standpoint other than what we're doing today. So it's a pleasure to get to speak to you in person the way we're doing today and share our love of what we do.
Oh, absolutely. And this is the first time that Pam and I are speaking face to face because typically we do all of our sessions over the phone. So it's a real joy for me to see somebody that's been such a powerful influence in my world. To start with, Pam, I have your website up and I was going to go over all of your credentials and all the things that you've, not that credentials matter, but they are a milestone or a touchstone into areas that you have explored, that you trained in, that you focused on, and it's many paragraphs. I'll put the links in the description so that you could look into Pam yourself and just see how remarkable and grounded she is in so many different areas. What I'd like to start with today, Pam, is talking about the animal communication, because like myself and like you, so many of us feel such a kindredship and connection to the animal kingdom. And we love our beloved pets, sometimes more than our beloved humans. Sometimes they're so much easier to love than the other people in our world because I feel like there's a special relationship we have it's almost like they're our children, but in a very unique sense. So let me ask you this, Pam, because I don't know your story. When did you first know that you had a special connection with the animal kingdom?
I would probably say as soon as I had enough consciousness as a child, to be honest with you.
Wow.
It was one of the things that I naturally was just, for an example, this is on my website. This is a story that my mother told many times. However, my mother never understood the connection of the intuitive with this until the end of her life, believe it or not, because nobody in my family is intuitive. Well, or at least they didn't acknowledge it. I was probably old enough to barely walk, and she had me out on the front where the grass was real soft and pretty, and she had a blanket down, and we were just hanging out on the blanket out front. That's what you did back then. You didn't sit and watch TV or whatever. And she said that she went inside, probably to grab something to drink. I don't know, but it was within seconds she was gone. And she said when she walked out the door, I was standing, and she said I could barely walk. She said I was standing at the corner edge of the street, and there was a big dog standing in front of me. And I put my hand up, and he put his head down, and I touched his forehead. And my mother was freaking out because she didn't have that recognition of what that was. And she thought the dog was going to bite me, and she was just scared to death. She said she was frozen in place. She couldn't move. And she said, and then the dog just looked at me and walked away. And
Wow.
less than 2 years old, possibly, because of barely walking. So that's my first acknowledgement, even though I don't have that memory. And then it kept on going that way. If an animal was in the neighborhood, it found me. When I was young, I had 2 kittens gifted to me, and they were male cats, and they ended up being bruisers in the neighborhood. And they brought me their gifts. Each one of them, if they weren't dead, went into the garage into a special box that I had made. And I went in and I spoke to them and I touched them. I don't have a great deal of memory of some of those either. I have the later ones. But my mom said that was something that I was adamant about. They had to be put in a box. The box had to have something in it nice. And I had to be allowed to go in. And she said it was awful because they were half dead and things like that. But that was just me. So that's an example.
That's a beautiful, it's almost like you did ceremony, helping them cross over,
I
which is
agree.
something that you do nowadays and you have done for me.
Nowadays on purpose.
On
Exactly.
purpose and yes,
Acknowledge.
consciously. So I want to just say something to my listeners, some that may go, like communicating with animals. Let me just say, if you ever want to work with anybody that says they're working in the energy realms, I want you to be very careful who you choose to work with. Because once you open up yourself, whether it's through you to your animals to somebody else, you just want to really be sure where that person's coming from. And also not just where they're coming from, but the legitimacy of what they're doing. Pam, from the very start, when I had her tap into, I think it was Bugsy. Bugsy was sick. She says, okay, I'm finding your animal. And then she started telling me about where he likes to go. His favorite place in the house. He likes to go here. He likes to do this. And she described him to a T, and it's things that she would never know about him. I remember you saying that I want to make sure I have the right animal and I'm tuned in. I was like, you're tuned in. You got him. That was for me a little affirmation. Is this woman for real or not? And then from there, it's been very profound differences in my animals and myself. I wanted to sit that as a little caveat. If you feel inspired to work with somebody in these realms, was to really be sure that you're connecting to the right person and who they are, their intentions and all that. But that's a whole other story. I want to stay with you here. Pam, I can say how you do it because something is encoded in you from the very start. I like to say there's like the animal realm and the human realms. We're almost like different realms that embody this earth because they are different, especially with cats, very frustrating. You can't just talk to them and tell them and they don't obey commands. But that's part of what we love about kitty cats, right? Dogs are a little different. Can you describe for all of us animal lovers out there, what is that realm? What is the animal kingdom like? I mean, is there like a feeling there, like a knowing? What is this realm that we're so blessed to inhabit this planet with?
Well, from my perspective, right?
Yes.
Because it's what I connect to, and that is energy. Everything that we do, everything that we say and hear and know is energy. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm connecting to their energy. And what they have shown me is that they live in the moments. So we do carry with us, all of us, say if we've had some kind of trauma or drama or had a bad experience in our younger time, we carry that energy with us and it affects us in some way, which is what a lot of what I do is help animals that have had experiences, whether it be physical or emotional or whatever, to get past those things. But they mostly live in the moment. And it's one of the reasons why, especially cats, but all dogs and all animals are like this. When they are hungry, they immediately want your attention, and you know what that means. They're hungry. They'll go to their bowl or they'll make noises, or if they've got to go outside and use the bathroom, they're immediate. That's exactly the example I give, is that it's an immediate knowledge that I'm in this moment and that's all I can pay attention to at this moment. Now, do they have the same as a child where something's glittery and pretty and it gets their attention? Of course, it takes them out of that for a moment. But if they have something that they want, that's what it is. And it's the same with when you come home. If you've been away and you come home, the first thing they want is you. They want your attention because that's their instinction to say, hey, I want you. Look at me, rub me, touch me. It's about me. So you ultimately, most of the time, work with a 2-year-old mentality in most pets because of the fact that they are intentionally paying attention to everything they instinctively want in the moment. So we may not
Yeah.
want to stop in that moment and give them attention or feed them or whatever it might be because we might be in the middle of something else. Hence why sometimes they annoy us because they don't leave it alone because they're in the moment. The
Yeah.
other thing that I notice is the love that they give. It never waves. It never stops. We never not feel loved by them. We never not even when they're mad at us, they're still rub on you. So they give you unconditional love, which is something that we crave in the human world. And I say, if you are suffering, if you are hurting, if you are unhappy, if you are not connected to your heart, go volunteer at a shelter. Because even those that are frightened out of their mind will respond if you touch them or love them back. They'll give you back love. Hold key that we all as humans want.
Oh, it's so true. And I think that's why animal lovers, I mean, for myself, if I see an animal abused, there's something that comes out in me, a protective mother bear that any human that mistreats an animal, watch out. There's such a violation there because there's that purity of heart with animals. I also feel like, and I've learned this from you, that animals also have a way of working with our energies, of buffering things, of taking things off us and helping us shed things. They're almost like energy balancers, I feel like. They can sense where you are and they come with medicine for you. Can you speak about that a little bit?
Well, I think of them as healers, I guess, in their own ways, but they also take on jobs. Those jobs could include taking care of you. They are naturally intuitive, naturally empathic. And if your listeners are not familiar with the word empathic, empathic is where I can feel what you're feeling. If you walk into a room and I'm there and you're angry, I can feel your anger before you ever speak a word or throw something around or energetically move your body a certain way. The energy just radiates off of you, and I can feel that through energy. And that's what animals do. And if you're upset or you're angry or you're whatever those emotions or feelings or whatever you're going through, they make one of their jobs to help you. So what will they do? Have you ever seen them just stand in the middle of the room and just look at you when you're not having a good day? Just look at you like they're looking into your soul, and you just go, it'll make you stop and pay attention. And that's what they're trying to do, get your attention. I have other clients who they're so close to their animals that they feel like the animal duplicates what their emotion is or their anger is at the same time. So they'll exhibit that. And it's almost like they feel like, well, it's my twin. You know, when I'm upset, she's upset. Or when I'm happy, she's happy. That's another form of taking on those things that they know you're going through and trying to help you with. Now, some people will go, yeah, right. But have you ever, you've heard the words where the animal looks like them and acts like them? That's what I mean. They just take on our persona sometimes with that. That doesn't mean every one of the animals that you have are going to do that. Those are the special ones. Those are usually what I call the old soul.
I have 3 kitties, and one of mine's an old soul, and that would be Bugsy. And his full name, Bugsy Malone, the gangster of love. And he is such the little gangster of love. And Pam has also taught me very specifically because she's done a lot of communication with Bugsy. And I would say he's very much an old soul and he's very protective. And now, since I've been working with Pam, I'm really tuned into, like, especially when I'm sleeping or retiring or retreating from this world, I watch where he sleeps. Sometimes he'll just be the end of the bed looking out, or he'll be close and snuggly. Lately, he's been sleeping in our portico, like it's our contained patio area where we can't get outside. I just feel like he is a sentinel and he is a watcher for me. And would that be accurate to say that some animals perform that type of a role for humans too?
Yeah. And again, I put it down as a job. They've taken on that job because that's their specialty. Okay. So you've got some animals that love to prowl the house. That's your watchers, that's your hunters. And they're very knowledgeable about every component of your house. And if anything's out of whack, you've moved something, another animal is not doing well, they will find you and try to get your attention. You may not understand that's what they're doing, but they'll go back around 2 or 3 times, whereas before they just went the one time and then they went and lay down. But instead they're disturbed. You can tell it. And that's when they are picking up on something and they'll let you know about it. Mine will come and talk to me. I have talkers.
I
So
have a
you've got
dog.
talkers,
Yes.
you've got meowers, you've got, you've got the ones that use their paws, you've
Their
got,
head.
if you, they get to butt their heads, exactly. So everybody is different.
Oh, that's so
But they
interesting.
take on those jobs. And
They
that's one of those
do.
jobs that I see them doing.
It's so interesting to me. And as I've gotten older and things have settled down more within me, and I've gotten more sensitive and tuned into my intuition and really been working with that in a very conscious way of building and developing that, my relationship with my animals has shifted as well because I really watch and I take heed to every little thing they do. I feel like they're communicating all the time, but we get so busy in our world that we are not understanding the subtle nuances. Like even if I'm petting them and they just do a little subtle thing and it's not there, here, or that's enough. There's little gentle signs they give. And even, I can't even explain because it's one of these intuitive, subtle energies. I watch them now. They come in and circle the room and go out. They start talking to me and they sit there and they talk. I get up and they go, wow. And then they keep looking back and they want me to follow them. They're taking me somewhere because they want something. And I'm so happy to follow them to figure out what it is because I want them to be happy. I want them to have fulfilled lives and I want their connection because I love them. They serve me and I want to serve them too. So that has definitely grown in my life as I've grown my own intuitive capacities. Is there anything you can share with our listeners as far as animal lovers, cats or dogs? Can you talk a little bit about how we can increase our sensitivity and what is the language? Because I feel like they have a whole language thing. You literally can go in there and Pam comes back and tells me, oh, so this is why this kitty's upset and they don't want you to do that anymore. It really bothers them when you do that. I'm like, oh my God, I never knew. Like the one I would grab by the nape of his neck to hold him down, to give him medicine, and it really upset him. And I thought he just doesn't like him. I got to get the medicine in, but it was something that was traumatizing him. So I worked out something else to do. But she literally come back to me and tell me things. It's not just little impressions of following him or how I want to be petted or if I'm hungry. It's going to so much more detail of finesse of communication. And that may be you're built that way to do that, but you probably had to learn some skills too. Can you share baby skills for us novices of how we could learn to communicate at even a different level with our babies?
Let me start off with saying that I believe every one of us are intuitive. And so that means that you can feel, sense, or know energy. But we may not trust it or may not recognize that's what it is that we're feeling or sensing or knowing. A lot of people say, well, my gut instinct. Well, that's what intuition is. It's a gut instinct. It's a knowing that there's something else that's communicating with you. So everything communicates with us, everything. However, in our daily world, we're very busy and there's always noises and always things taking up our attention. So if you want to be more connected to your animals or to anyone else or anything else, or even yourself, it's to slow down and be a little more quiet. The animals have taught me to give them a moment. When you're working, doing this work, you're on a time, whether it's a 30-minute session or an hour session. I want to give my clients whatever they need. And so my first instinct has always been to do as much as I can in that time frame. Well, that is my agenda. Doesn't necessarily mean it's the animal's agenda. And they will sometimes not give me everything that I'm asking because they don't like how I'm coming in with my energy. They ask for respect, they ask for kindness. And so, one of the things that they taught me originally when I first started doing this as a job, as something that I wanted to do for others, is to let them know that I'm there. So, whether I'm on a phone or I'm on a Zoom call, once I have established my connection with the human, I then get very quiet, close my eyes, and start to talk to the animal. And the first thing I say is, "Hi, I'm here because your mom or your dad is concerned about you. May I connect with you?" So now I have just established respect between me and that animal. So that would be a suggestion from me to anyone who wants to communicate with their animals, is to not have an agenda that, all right, come here, get in the room, get in front of me, get moving, we're going to talk. Something's wrong, what's wrong? Give them a moment. Be respectful of their energy. Be respectful of where they are at that moment. Were they eating when you interrupted them? Were they playing? Be respectful of their space. And then they will give you more information. They will know that you're not attempting to go and be pushy or grabby. It's just respect. That's what they taught me from the very beginning.
Oh, I love that. And that's a beautiful segue into working with people, because the things I've learned in my training with energies and spirit is whenever you're working with another person, there's this level of respect and permission. This always has to be permission. You don't go into somebody else's energy field unannounced or against their will. We live in a free will world, a free will universe. And I've never heard it put that way, but of course that would apply to animals. Of course that would apply to the plant kingdom. I'm taking that one to heart. And I know there's going to be a lot to unpack in my world with it, because it's very true. I'm going into people, everybody. So working with people, Pam and I have done a whole range of stuff, whether it's just energy, chakra balancing, energy, soul retrievals, past life regression. We've done this whole gamut of work over the years, and it really depended on where I was and what was needed at the time. So with that, Pam, I'd like to have you talk about what is it like helping people? Because there's a different level of complexity than with animals. Just in general, I know I'm taking this whole lifetime because you've been doing this for so long, but just for novices that aren't working in this, or maybe there are some energy healers that will be tuning in. Could you share a little bit about the relationship you have with universal laws, universal codes, and working with people?
Well, let me start by saying that I initially got into this to help myself through my own healing process. So that's how I got started. I went through time where I ignored my gifts and thought I wasn't using them, thought I had rejected them. They frightened me when I was young. I didn't know how to deal with them. I didn't have guidance, not because my parents didn't care. They just didn't understand. They thought I was just imaginative. And I think a lot of people that are intuitive can relate to that imaginative child. And so when you start to work on the self, you start to open up, right? You start to recognize that there's more, and there's more ways to help yourself. And there's more things that you've been through that you didn't pick up that were actually influencing your decisions in the moment and time. And so during the process of getting the tools in my toolbox, I went from what I call the immature healer to the aware healer, not the expert, because I don't think we're ever experts. I think we're always learning. But I see this in the early realms of people who just start working in the energy healing world or hypnosis or whatever it might be, mediumship, whatever it is. We find out that we can help. And it's so powerful what we see other people expressing and learning and changing their lives. And we changed our lives and we get all excited about all of that. And I see a lot of healers will walk into a room and they notice that someone's suffering and they'll come up to them and say, I'm a healer, I can help you, and start touching them. And that's what the animals taught me. No, you need to ask me, be a part of that. So even though my clients have connected to me to help in some form with whatever they're struggling with or whatever they want to increase in their life or whatever it might be, I still connect with their higher energy before I get started. But the animals taught me more of that, and also learning to be respectful of others because I've had others do it to me, and it's very uncomfortable. When someone brings their energy into you without you wanting them to, you ever had someone get too close into your space? It's the same feeling. You feel uncomfortable. You don't know what to do with yourself because they're too close. I want to make sure that everyone knows that I'm not trying to make them do something or be something or change something or believe in what I believe in. I've learned that every session is individual and you go into it with an intent. And my intent is always to help and to show love wherever they're in pain, because that doesn't feel like love where they are. And I want them to feel that energy that I am transmitting because I'm channeling it. Remember, the intuitive self that does the healing is channeling that information. So they're going to feel the difference when you come in with intent to help, but not overpower and not be something I think you should be or think the same way I think or use words to put in someone else's mouth. I always ask, how does that feel? What are you picking up? Even if I know what they're already picking up because of my intuition, I'm going to ask them, the client, because it's their experience. It's not my experience. And so I hope that I've expressed the difference between being respectful of someone's energy and their journey.
That just sings to my heart, Pam, because part of doing the Rebel Crone and starting this whole channel in celebration of women as we age and the wisdom that we hold, that this is wisdom for anybody. It's not just for a healer, but it's something I feel like you come into in your crone years, maybe younger, and you're blessed for that. But a lot of times it takes some life experience. The wisdom that we're carrying, exactly what you said, is this respect for everybody in whatever part of their journey that they're in. And it's not for us to withhold love. We're carriers of love. It's not our love. We're stewarding it for the higher ranges, which are non-judgmental. There's no judgment in the heavens, the higher ranges, no judgment whatsoever. It's pure love that's shined on everybody in equal measure. Some people can accept more and some can't. But there's so much more than we can even imagine is available to us. Part of what you're saying is to be respectful of each other. In whatever phase of the journey, we're all on different trajectories back home, learning our lessons. And on each day, we vary with it. And from the start of the day to the end of the day, we vary. Sometimes my best today is not my best what it was yesterday because I'm in my process. But to respect people for that and not to judge them. Because I've come into my crone years of being this witness, this compassionate, loving witness. As people come into my space, I can only be a positive influence if I'm quiet first and I hold no judgment no matter who they are or where they are, and to just have that space. And then you'd see, how can I interact with this person? And just let the other person cue you into what they're open to receive. Because we all have varying degrees of love to give at any given time. But what is the other person willing to receive? and able to receive. And it's not about me. When I was younger, it's all like, oh, and you want to prove yourself, you want acknowledgement, it's very ego driven. Just like coming into your animal space, it's ego driven. Okay, I'm going to serve you now, dag darn it. I'm giving you pets because I love you. And they're like, I do not want you to touch me right now. I'm sorry. I am watching that bird outside. And I'm very preoccupied with the bug on the floor. And it's so true. No matter if you're a healer or not, what you just described is wisdom of life. Is be respectful of people's space and then just be holding that love pattern. No matter what, just hold it. If they can't receive, you still hold it for them. Anyways, that really touches my heart. That's a core message that I have been able to receive in my elder years and wisdom that I've learned. So thank you for that. That is golden in my book.
And as you said, it is as you mature, as you become more grounded in what you're doing, as you recognize that each one of us have a perception of what our life is like. And if we have somebody come in and say, oh, well, what you perceive is wrong, then it really does not give confidence to the person. One of the things that I tell people that have started out, I used to get people who would go through Reiki classes, and then they would come to me and they'd go, I don't know what to do with it. I don't know how to perceive what I'm getting. What does that mean? What does that feeling mean? What does this mean? What does that energy mean? What am I getting? So it's their perception of what they're receiving. And I always say that when you connect to something, no matter what it is, another human being, yourself, an animal, whatever it is, notice how it makes you feel. Does it make you feel good? Does it make you nervous? What does it feel like? So I'm the clairsentient person. I sense energy, so I feel it deeply in my body. But how do you perceive it? Do you feel it? Do you see it? Do you know it? Do you smell it? Do you hear it? If you want to do intuitive work, you need to know how you perceive when you're receiving energy. And that's one of the things I tell everyone. That's the most important part, that if you want to work a muscle to know what your clear is, every one of them we have within us. But there's one that's your main guy, the main thing. And I've known for many years that I'm the clairsentient because I sense everything. My mother used to say, you're so sensitive, you're so sensitive, you're so sensitive. I'm like, that really was my true essence of what I pick up on, how I receive energy in this world. So no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing in your life, you're receiving and perceiving through that clair.
I love that.
That's my biggest lesson I can give to anyone.
I love that. And the challenge with that as women, because we are more sensitive to energies and however you're sensing, whichever your clair is, but we're trained as little girls, like your mother telling you, you're so sensitive. There's a judgment with that. Like there's something wrong.
Yeah.
You like, just stop being that way because you're too much. And that's the problem. We have been trained to be good little girls. And this is what a good little girl looks like. And it's about calling down those sensitivities, because the world wants us to perceive within this small range where there's this huge energetic field out there. Yet we have to put the carburetors on and just see this. Well, so many of us are designed to see, especially women, designed to see, feel, however you sense it, in a bigger capacity. But it's not nurtured, it's not supported, it's not even acknowledged or encouraged whatsoever. And we cut that down. And I think that's part of the thing, is coming into our older years when we go through our transition in life, that suddenly we don't have the same kind of caring, driving hormones careening through our body. We stop caring so much what other people think, what the world says, and we just want to be us. And that's a beautiful time that we can tap into our sensitivities and our gifts But it's unfortunate that we didn't have that nurtured as young girls, young ladies, that this is the nature of being a woman, is that you're going to have sensitivities, and having a mother or grandmothers or guides there that can see it in us, and they'll nurture you down that path of your own cosmic design of being you. This is one of the things I feel like is being corrected right now.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that was just one of my kitties doing something naughty, probably wanting my attention. I don't know if you heard that, but
I did.
oh, I
I
know
heard
what
something.
oh, well, okay. I'm not seeing anything flying around bad, but that's good. So I have my smudge feathers and stuff, which I've had to put up high on frames because my one kitty did discover it on my little altar in my office here and was running off with feathers. But anyways, the point being is that I feel like that's shifting right now, Pam, and maybe we can wrap up this conversation with the shifts that are happening nowadays, because we are in this incredible crucible of transformation in the world, in society, in this country, and then to our own personal evolution. Can you give our listeners some insight into that from your perspective? Because you're balancing all these things when you work with somebody, and maybe some keys to navigating this intensified time that we find ourselves in. It's a beautiful time. We all chose to incarnate right now to be a part of this, but we typically are not trained the tools of how to be a part of it and how to navigate it. So it can be overwhelming.
Well, there's two things that I want to say that as you were talking that came into my energy was home, what home means. And the other is being in a heavier space. Earth is heavy. Earth has, we have this grounding, heavy feeling in it. And if you're an intuitive who knows how to meditate or who knows how to get a little higher, we call it getting out of our bodies, feeling good, that energy of being all connected to everything. It's just amazing. It's light, it's bright, it's airy. Well, when you get into the earth energy, it's not like Mary. And anytime you've ever had any kind of transformation, whether the transformation is moving from one home to another, or going through a divorce, or going through grief for loss of a human or a pet, all of these transformations are very uncomfortable. And you go through stages during that process. Each one of us does. In the psychology world, they have named them anger and
Denial,
weeping and denial and all these other things. Well, just think of the stages of the process of grief. Just think of that. And if you can pay attention to what's going out in the world right now, we are all in different areas of stages of grief. And the best way I know how to suggest to help anyone who is connected to those stages in whatever form they're connected to is to come back to home. And home is within us. Yes, it's a building that we live in and that we have beds in, and kitchens in, and so forth. But the true home is within us. It's the foundation we've established with our own desires, how we've created the forms within us that make us feel comfortable in our homes. So what's inside of us usually mimics outside of us in some form. So if I like warm colors, I feel good when I'm in a earthy space. I'd love to be around animals. All of those things are within me. That's a part of my home. That's who I am inside. Instinctively know that's me. So I get to know me, my home, and I establish those pieces, those foundations within me. And then I know when I'm not connected to that foundation and when I'm uncomfortable and when I'm not giving myself what I need, even though the world could be in chaos. Everything can be, we could be in another huge war, whatever it is, or we're lacking because we have so much poverty in the world, or we've got all the weather going on. We may not understand the full understanding of that transformation because we don't have the full understanding of everything we came in here to do. But we know we're here for a reason, and we know we can make a difference. And if we can make a difference, then we first have to pay attention to our foundation and our creative self, what we're creating within ourselves. And we're constantly changing that creation because energy never stops moving. So what you have today doesn't mean that you're going to have it tomorrow because of your desire for something else. So pay attention to your creation, pay attention to what your intent is for yourself, pay attention to how you treat yourself, pay attention to what you put around you. And that will help you get through everything else because we're constantly in movement. Everybody says, I'm stuck. You might be stuck up here, but the energy is still moving, and that's why you're uncomfortable because you're holding on to something you think is supposed to be helpful to you, and it's actually making you feel like you're drowning in it because you're holding on so tightly to it. And that will show up, right, in our bodies. It'll show up in our uncomfortableness. It'll show up in physical disease. But if we know ourselves and we know our foundation, that comfortable part of us is, then as we go through those pieces that make us uncomfortable, we recognize them easier. And that becomes what all of us call consciousness.
That's beautiful. Pam, thank you so much. You have opened some new doors for me to expand my own awareness evolution, which is what it's all about, and it's never ending. So thank you so much for sharing that. That was profound and beautiful. Home is where the heart is. Literally, that's where that saying comes from. It is where your home is, your place inside of you to nurture that. And nobody can take that away from you. That is a sacred area that is just yours. That's the good news in this really crazy time we find ourselves in. I'm going to go back and listen to this a few times because that was so powerful. I appreciate you, my dear friends, so very much. Thank you for sharing yourself with my world. And I know you don't do that often. I wasn't sure if you would agree to come on the show or not. And I was so delighted when you said yes. And maybe sometime in the future, I can talk you to come back in and we can discuss something else. But for now, this has been a transformative experience for myself, as it always is every time I speak with you. You're just a beautiful, natural healer and guide and gifted communicator with people and animals. I love you dearly, Pam, and thank you so much for coming here today.
Well, thank you for the invitation. Thank you for you, the soul that you are, and what you bring to this world, and allowing me to share in that with you.
We're going to have a lot of animal lovers that are going to want to use this as a starting point. I'm going to sign off now. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us. And as always, peace from within, because that's where it starts. That's where it ends. That's the whole journey.